Shit Post Boys podcast. Yeah. All right. Fade that shit out. All right. Shit Post Boys podcast. I'm Kilo. I'm joined by my brother, Jonathan.
Nine to the deuce. Jesus Christ. Nine to the deuce here. Nine to the deuce here. Happy
Jonathan,
to be here.
9 to the deuce, 9 deuce.
Yeah, I know.
I would try to have some fun with this one. This one is fuck.
Oh yeah, definitely. We definitely gonna try and have some fun with this shit.
Yeah.
We ain't got no choice. We ain't got no choice, man. I mean, shit. First of all, it's me and you.
Absolutely.
It's always fun. In that case, and man, half of the year is over.
Dead ass, more than half of the year at this point.
Yeah, a little more, a few days extra.
And we sacrificed the whole goddamn thing to a jealous girlfriend that's on her way back.
That's fucked up.
Oh, we kicked that bitch.
Actually, hey, two jealous girlfriends. Two. Shit, no. See, there was a main that we kept dedicating all our time to the side. She was like, "Who this bitch? Did you forget that I was a thing?" And we stayed stuck on that shit. And then the side was like, "Nigga, why you don't call me no more?"
Yeah, nah, she definitely came back with a vengeance too.
Yeah,
this is what happens when you don't give like closure to the crazy motherfucker you already dealing with, and then all of a sudden, while you're dealing with the new thing, the old thing back like yeah. Old thing came back like you forgot about me, huh? You just gonna do me dirty.
Shit.
For the uninitiated, the old thing is definitely the ugly underbelly of America. We know is what do they call it? What do they call it nowadays? What's the politically correct term?
Shit, I don't know.
Like I don't like using the word white supremacy because it's not white supremacy. Oh. Technically, white supremacy would mean that they will also be uplifting all of the people that are also suffering horrible living in socioeconomic conditions in this country. So I don't want to say it's white supremacy because white supremacy would uplift them all. I would like to say that is way more so extrajudicial prejudice committed by members of, I guess you could say, the I don't want to, because it's not just police either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bigger than just saying, oh, it's the police and police are bad. Like, it's.
Oh no, the whole system's fucked up.
Yeah, but
the whole system is fucked up.
But yeah, at the same time though, it's not.
But the
it's not all of it. All of it is fucked up, but not all of it is the fucked up part to the point where it's like cower before me. You know what I'm saying? Like some of it is fucked up because it's like, okay, we got old ass laws on the books, and if we felt like it, we could get you for sodomy.
Yeah, like yeah, of course. That is interesting. That's
100% real. It's a lot of dumbass laws still on the books that don't make any sense. But let's cut straight to the chase. Yes, the old bitch known as the deadly power of the state. Definitely came. I don't even want to say it came back. It made itself known. It made it loud and clear that it's not going to be ignored anymore. Not for the new bitch, which is the COVID-19 brand coronavirus, which I hope other people have realized is not the only coronavirus. In fact, it's not even the most common coronavirus.
Speak more.
Well, essentially, the coronavirus is again a family. It's a brand. It's like Pixar.
Okay.
Now, see, we're used to Toy Story, but then The
Oh
Incredibles
God.
came out of nowhere and blew everything out of the water. The Incredibles came through and shit on the entire building, and that's what we're dealing with now. This
Oh
is what
man.
happens when you chase waterfalls instead of listening to the rivers and the lakes that you're.
Wow.
So we
Wow.
find ourselves. So we find ourselves in a weird space where yeah, the cousin of basically the common cold in some cases is really just kicking our fucking ass. Like just really getting all the way in there. We're not prepared. We don't have our guard up at all. Niggas are still going to the beaches. And yeah,
Yeah.
it don't give a fuck. It don't give a fuck about. It don't give a fuck about institutional racism. It don't give a fuck about you protesting. It's going to get you at the protest.
Man, we we got a lot of shit on our plate to deal with.
Like, are you eating?
We really do. Am I? That's a good question.
Question, motherfucker. Yes or no? Cut it out.
Anywho, no, I'm done.
Microphone's
I'm
gonna
done.
pick all that shit up. God damn, can't do nothing.
No.
Anyway, yeah. So
No.
I don't know what the correct way to do this is, but not happy 4th or happy Juneteenth Junior or whatever.
Oh jeez.
Whatever the weird odd way that we're doing this particular year. Happy that or unhappy that or fuck that shit. I don't know. Whichever one.
Still celebrating the white man's holiday?
Man, dog, we're still living on. Let me not. I don't even.
Well, I hear somebody in my. I just basically hear some. I know somebody right now is saying that. Somebody who just got quote unquote woke this year is talking about you still celebrating the white man's holiday, brother.
I know personally somebody who laughed me out the room for saying that I don't really fuck with the 4th because Juneteenth is probably a more important date to my people in particular because my family is actually from the South and my family is actually from descendants of slaves in the South specifically. A lot of people can't even necessarily trace their lineage that far back, but I definitely can, and because I can, it's like, yeah, Juneteenth has some significance to me, and this was about 3 years ago when I was saying this, and they were like, basically, get the fuck out of here, because they about to kick it with their family and blah 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 blah. But I mean, that's just kind of the cycle. Because, like, in high school, I was very much, like, pro-black and, like, anti-wallet chains.
Anti-wallet chains?
I was anti-wallet chains. I was because, like, that's when, like, Ain't I was out and swag surfing was actually out and niggas was doing all that weird shit. And, like, I was just, like, in Chucks and Levi's.
Okay.
I was just in Chucks and Levi's and fitted caps and etc. I was never into the skater look. I was never into the rock star look. I had a pair of Ed Hardy like sneakers, like Ed Hardy Chucks, Ed Hardy brand Chucks or whatever the fuck they were necessarily called. I had like a
collaboration shits.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. I had a pair of those, but that was about as far as it went with that. Also,
no, I usually just call those collaborations and shit.
Yeah, believe it or not, I also had a fucking had a fucking rhinestone Obama t-shirt.
I have a very hard time.
I gotta find the picture. It was like when I was skinny too, because like I had hit my growth spurt. I was like 17.
Yeah, I have a very hard time.
I didn't have no hair. Like, nigga, I had a fade. and I was wearing I was rocking the Skeen and Levi's back then. Um, and Air Force Ones mostly, but like I said, I had Chucks. I had the little LRD Chucks. But yeah, I dead ass had like a not like just a rhinestone T-shirt that said Obama. Like no, it was this nigga's entire profile.
No, I figured that that's what you were trying to say, and I'm having a very difficult time putting that image together in my head. Just off the shirt alone. Just off the shirt alone.
Bro, you don't get born a cynic. You become a cynic as you get to experience shit, and like and the world just starts to fall apart around you. It's like, what?
Well, of course.
Wait a minute.
Of course,
nobody. I didn't buy this T-shirt from the gas station for you to be acting this way, sir. What do you mean you're not the black president? You're all of our president. What do you mean?
No, of course. You're born with rose-colored shades until you replace them with, some Eazy-E shits.
Yeah, and like that sounds to this day. That kind of sounds like normal to people. Like him saying, "Oh, I'm not the black president. I'm everybody's president." But if a nigga was to do that today, like got elected, like was like, yo, I'm pro issues of a particular people I'm not gonna name because no matter what the fuck you say about them, it's automatically gonna get you in trouble. So I'm just gonna call it people X. And they get elected based on how much they're appealing to the particular agenda of people X. And then they get in there and the nigga goes, I am not the people X president. I am everyone's president. They would kill that nigga. Can you imagine what the fuck? Can you imagine what the fucking internet as a whole would look like if the motherfucker got up there and was like, I'm not the people X president? Today, in this day and age, after they elected, after they got elected strictly on the people X agenda.
But did he though? I mean, while we're on the topic of becoming a cynic, becoming a cynic. My bad. Cynic. Haha. Freudian slip. Maybe there's a question that you can help me out with.
Shoot.
Who and or what the fuck is the Electoral College?
Oh, see, no, Electoral College. Hold on. See, now, wait, nigga, hold on. Electoral College is, it's not like it's an appointment like the way you're thinking. The Electoral College is the amount of delegates that a state has based on their 2 senators that they're given by default, and the amount of representatives they have that are in the Federal House of Representatives, based on the population size of that state.
So basically, Congress.
Yeah.
So the Electoral College is Congress.
Yes, members of Congress double as delegates for the Electoral College, yes.
So if that's the case, because I had a feeling about that.
I mean, I would hope you.
Because
you're almost 30, nigga.
No, because
I hope you know this.
Nigga, not everybody does.
And if it wasn't for who you telling?
And if it wasn't for one of my high school friends a long ass time ago, I still wouldn't know about this shit because we was back when we used to pile up in this back when we used to pile up in one of our friends' fucking truck, and we used to like on a weekly basis go out and shit during the summer. One night we were riding around, we were talking about some shit. Don't know what we were talking about, why we were talking about it, but he said, vote doesn't really count towards electing the president.
Yeah, it does.
I was like, nigga, bullshit.
It does, but people.
And he said no.
It counts.
And so
it effectively cannot count if there's a situation like It counts, but it effectively doesn't count because it's ultimately up to the Electoral College. The issue with that
I know.
particular logic is that the Electoral College is still going to vote whatever way that the popular vote goes. So like if they win Michigan, and I think we got like 15 or 16 or something like that. So if they win Michigan, popular vote, they get that 15 or 16 delegates. But where we lose at, where we quote unquote lose at, I don't even want to say we because I'm not even, Doug. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I vote on the issues and whoever is most mostly in the wheelhouse of whatever the issues are. I'm in a weird predicament now because the Democratic Party has everybody in the nation by the balls with a candidate that is probably not ideal. A candidate that's so not ideal that even while we got all this shit going on, I don't think he's making too much of an impact with the people he needs to be making an impact with. But that's a whole other story. That's a whole other story. I'm not gonna go deep into that. But like, I know what I have to do come fall. I know what we have to do as a collective come fall, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But I'm not confident. I'm not fucking confident at all. But yeah, where it doesn't count, quote unquote, is when shit like, what's the state that has never fucking turned in the history of mankind? Texas. Where you have a situation like Texas where it's just so many Republicans that your vote effectively in Texas does not count if you're voting for a Democratic candidate because the Republicans outnumber you by such a hugely significant margin that almost no matter what, you're going to lose the popular vote in Texas, and therefore you're going to lose all the delegates in Texas if you're a Democrat. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and it also sounds overly complicated as hell.
No.
It sounds...
Yes, but no. Yes, because obviously it's an extra layer of bullshit on top of the bullshit pie. But no, because it's meant to be a check against shit like that in the first place. It's meant to be a check against everybody who votes a certain way living in highly dense population sectors being able to completely sway the vote.
Okay.
So, to put that in perspective, a state like Michigan is a swing state because there's honestly so many Republicans here, but there's also a tremendous amount of Democrats. The problem that happened last time is that motherfuckers stay home. Like with Hillary, like niggas stay home. Honestly, like that's what it is. And because niggas stayed home, that dense population of largely black voters, the amount of energy needed to really generate and flip the state blue just wasn't there.
Right.
Am I connecting that right? What was I trying to say?
No, you said that. No, you said that right.
But am I connecting it right to what it is you're trying to ask? Because you
were talking about. Yeah, I was saying like, what is the electoral? The initial question is, what is the Electoral College? Who the fuck appoints them?
Right.
And so you're basically stating that.
Right, and then you said that sounds like some convoluted or complex bullshit. And yeah, it's meant to be a check.
It does, but it doesn't. Right. Yeah.
It's meant to be a check because it's supposed to prevent shit like a bunch of people moving into a state, like a bunch of people moving into a state that doesn't have a high population, and they all move into the same fucking city / metropolitan area. They can't just outright control the vote. Because if it was just population, like literally just population, that means that people living in all the biggest cities in America would pretty much be the only ones whose vote count, and everybody else's vote wouldn't count on a macro level. You know what I'm saying? Because like the votes of L.A., Chicago, Houston, New York, Detroit, Cleveland. I'm missing a lot of big states here. Charlottesville, let's say.
Riley?
No, where all the black people live? I'm not sure. I don't even know. I honestly don't know too much about the Carolinas, so I'm not even gonna hold you up. But like, if all the big multicultural centers in America, if their vote counted 1-to-1, Middle America would basically not matter as far as votes go. Because we have so much space and so many people living so spaced out in the Midwest and in certain mountain areas and in certain desert areas that all those votes basically wouldn't count. Because there's 9 million people in New York. You know what I'm saying? There's 9 million people in New York. It's some like 6 million in LA. It's something like, 5 or 6 million in Chicago. It's not too many less than LA. These big population centers were the ones who were voting directly for president, and it wasn't a matter of did they win the state and get as many votes as the state allows based on population. Yeah, it will be the rural communities and the smaller communities across America, they wouldn't have any vote. Like, their numbers don't add up to one of these things. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you're doing over there is causing too much feedback.
Oh, shit. My bad. Oh, God. Oh, hold on. 1 second.
More feedback. I'm about to mute your ass.
Oh, fam. Relax.
I ain't gonna have a choice.
Okay.
I gotta save the recording, nigga.
I understand that, fam.
But yeah,
okay.
The Electoral College exists so that all the biggest cities in America can't be the only ones guiding the vote.
Okay, no, I get that.
So yeah, we kind of need that shit on the lowest of keys.
It still sounds like some bullshit, but in the same token,
I mean, it sounds like some bullshit to decide that New York, LA, and Chicago are the only ones voting for president. That sounds like bigger bullshit. Honestly.
Go ahead. Okay. Why can't it really just boil down to, okay, this person voted for that person? Huh?
You're doing a lot with the microphone.
My bad. No, what I'm doing is I'm trying to.
So we gotta
I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing.
I don't want to know.
No.
Sounds less than ideal right now.
Fam, relax. Okay. Relax. Okay. So yeah. So why can't it just be this many people voted for this person versus this many people voted for this person?
Because again, that would mean that the biggest cities in America would be the ones deciding who is the president. Only. Because again, all those other little cities don't add up to even one New York. Let alone the combined population of all of LA County, let alone the combined population of all the metropolitan Chicago, let alone Houston, Tallahassee, Jackson, Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but all of that
Dayton, Dayton? Hold on. What does Dayton and what Dayton needs? Dayton, Ohio need. How are their needs going to be met by a president if the Dayton is only worth 2% of one of these major markets?
Okay. Here's the thing with that though. That makes it sound like everybody in that particular area is of the same mind state, and not every individual in that particular area is of the same mind state. I met people during
Hold on. How do mind states form?
a general populace
How does a general populace's concerns form?
based on geography. Is that what you're trying to get at?
I'm asking you.
I don't know. I've
Okay.
never been.
It's a matter.
I've never been a.
I'm gonna tell you. The concerns of somebody living in Detroit are not the same concerns as somebody living in Traverse City. The only way that somebody in Traverse City is gonna know the concerns of somebody in Detroit is if they come down to Detroit. Now, ask yourself, if I can go everywhere in Michigan and completely skip Detroit and I can still win the presidency, how does Detroit get heard?
But why would you do that?
Because you don't need them.
Says who?
Says math. Says math. If it's only 400,000 people in Detroit and the population of Michigan as a whole is 12 million, what do I need to go to Detroit for where I can go everywhere else?
But I thought that the whole point of politicking was to appeal to as many people as possible.
That's the thing. You seem to think that's what it is, and it's not. That's not what politics is. That's not what political strategy is. Because you can't be everywhere at once.
No one said at once.
I know, John. But here, let me break it down to you what the reality of it is and what people are actually doing. The reason that the electoral college system exists is so that the states that don't have a hugely dense population center can still compete with states that have a huge population density center, such as New York City, New York. Now, you can skip every other state in the entire union, practically, and just go to Cali, Texas, New York, Florida, Illinois, and a couple other spots and win. You can't do that under the current system because you're going to need all those votes from all those other places in order to actually win. You're going to need to go to Utah. You're going to need to go to Colorado. You're going to need to go to Washington State. You're going to need to go to Seattle. Right now, you have to because those states all have huge chunks of electoral votes. So you have to go to those places. But if you remove the electoral college and you just got to focus on the big ass cities that have all these millions of people, how do you get heard? How does Detroit get heard? With its less than 1 million people.
Fair.
So that's what it's for. And niggas don't really realize that. Like, a lot of things that we complain about are shit that we complain about because we can't win under those circumstances currently. Or at least it feels like we can't win under those circumstances currently.
Understood.
But the opposite, the other thing is way fucking worse if you really understand what's at stake. If you really understand how these things function.
Okay.
Let's think about it this way. New York. Oh, I keep saying New York. Shout out New York. Cali.
Because it's New York.
Yeah.
It's New York. That's why. Because it's New York.
LA County. You know how LA County exists?
How?
Like LA is Cali is a desert, right? Like Southern Cali is a desert.
I could see that.
And they're surrounded by salt water, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you know how they exist? You know how they get water?
How?
From the mountains. They get all this shit from fucking Colorado and the Rockies and shit, and ship down through pipelines into LA County.
Wow. Okay.
Other than that, it's a lifeless fucking desert.
Okay.
So because of that, I'm using that to illustrate a point. if you give the ability to choose the president basically to LA County because there's no electoral college, how do you protect Colorado and how do you protect all these other places where there's currently, like agreements about water, when now California doesn't have to make any agreements, or at least they don't have to make any agreements that in some way, shape, or form favor Colorado or wherever else they're getting their water from. Because they can just do whatever they want. They elect the president. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like that puts everybody else in a position where they can't even compete politically.
Okay.
All of this stuff that we see, all of the US in general, and like a lot of the conflicts we see at every level is just a matter of people trying to secure resources for either their constituency or on a micro level, their family.
I understand
or they're trying
that.
to protect
Maybe
themselves. You know what I'm saying?
I get that, but I feel like I might be just a little too short sighted. I'm gonna admit that because
Don't
ultimately I feel
a
like
lot of people don't really like get into like these harder conversations because it makes you have to say some things that people might not like. And as you know, niggas are tissue.
I'll be the first to admit that I don't know every fucking thing.
I don't know shit,
and I don't,
but I try to know important shit that I try to know the important questions or answers to the important questions when they come up because they come up all the time. Like every election season, it's like, why do we need the electoral college? Because tyranny.
which
we could go in depth about what the tyranny is, but you gotta have an open enough mind for me to do that.
But see the fucked up part about that is prior to you explaining that the electoral college pretty much is Congress, which was what my initial guess was, because again I didn't fucking know. It sounded like tyranny. How you gonna tell us go out and fucking vote, but our vote don't really count towards what the fuck you telling us is for? Now the explanation you just gave me is, oh, it counts towards it, but indirectly, which is like, okay, yeah, but no,
it counts towards it. I don't even say indirectly. Indirectly isn't the word, because it's directly, but it's only if you win, and it's only up to a certain threshold.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know.
Your political power is limited by the population of the state you live in.
And then who is in Congress? And then will the people in Congress actually listen to...
But you elected to niggas to Congress.
I know. So it's not only just electing the president, it's electing the Congress. It's electing people that will listen to you when the time comes. Will they listen to you when the time comes? That's what I'm basically saying is...
That's important, but more importantly than will they listen to you is will they make alliances that will put them in an advantageous position to actually be able to get anything you're asking for through. That's a big portion
of it. Yeah. And what I'm essentially saying in all this is that's... Go ahead. And what I'm essentially saying is, like, in the long run of it, that's just way too much trust that we put in other motherfuckers' hands to get shit done.
What do you mean?
Again, I feel like shit, like, this all goes back to the conversation where it's important for us to figure out how we can do shit, at least on a local level, to improve
you know me, I'm Mr. Local
our way of living.
Absolutely.
To improve our way of living. Like, bottom line.
The roads and shit, it's all the state. Ain't nothing Trump nor Biden can do about the roads in Michigan. It's all state shit.
State and local level, I feel like, is the shit that we need to focus on a little bit more. Because
we do when it matters. We do when it matters, when it's important, when it's matters that are important to us. Like, weed went straight to fucking recreational. I mean, Detroit is dragging its ass for unknown reasons, but, like, weed has been legal in Michigan for a while now.
I get that.
There's still job discrimination for usage of it, but weed has been legal in Michigan for quite some time. We can get shit done on a local level when there's enough support behind it. Absolutely. The problem is we don't agree on as much as we think we do. We don't agree on as much as we think we do on a number of factors. On top of that, we have this very antagonistic relationship with like other citizens of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Detroit niggas do not like Oakland County. But at the same time, Detroit niggas absolutely need Oakland County. Detroit politicians absolutely need Oakland County. And Oakland County politicians absolutely need Detroit politicians to at least be on their side for certain shit to happen at all. And they need support of Ann Arbor, Ypsi, Washtenaw County. They need support of I forget what county Grand Rapids and shit is in. But like that trifecta right there, like that's a very important like seat of power for the state as a whole. Because between those three sectors of the state, you have the most amount of diversity. You have the most amount of progressive ideals. I'm leaving a couple of people out, but that's not intentional. I'm just trying to kind of drive it home with some of the bigger sectors. But like that particular Wayne County, Washtenaw, wherever the fuck Grand Rapids County is at, that particular seat of power is incredibly important. Those particular sectors are incredibly important. Those are going to be the sectors that have the most state delegates that are on the floor in Lansing doing the work.
Okay.
But they're obviously they're completely outnumbered because that's a very small portion of the state. That's not including the North Peninsula at all.
Right.
And that's not including, 80% of Lower Peninsula. Right. So that's why it's so difficult for us to do certain shit. That's why you have issues that occur every so often, like Flint, where it's like, as we examine it, anybody with half a brain would have been like, no, we probably should get that water and inspect it and see what it does first before we just switch over entire water supplies to something that we don't really have full knowledge of its treatment on. And yeah, man.
Jesus Christ.
And that's still and the other thing is that Flint was just, it was such a quick thing. It was something that happened so goddamn fast. Like the damage was there and hard and fast immediately after they switched the water over. There was very little time, if any, for them to be like, oh shit, we fucked up, before the damage was already done.
And it's still fucked up.
No, it's a lot better now. That's the other thing. A lot of people don't know that like the water in Flint is significantly better now. Like,
I would hope so.
Significantly better now. I wouldn't say
how long ago was that incident?
Shit.
That was about
like when they actually switched the water over. I think that was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think that was before I even got out of college. So yeah, it took a while. Like it takes a while. Infrastructure is a big thing that we don't really like. Niggas don't talk about infrastructure, honestly. Like I want to say that, I created this podcast to be real about these issues. Niggas don't give a fuck about infrastructure. Like that's never on niggas' minds. Weed was a big thing on niggas' minds. We got weed. Infrastructure, like what it is we need to progress as a whole Midwestern society, high-speed rail, shit like that. Niggas do not talk about no high-speed rail. When's the last time we talked to niggas about high-speed rail? When's the last time we talked to niggas about recycling programs?
Never.
When's the last time we talked to niggas about green energy?
Never.
When's the last time we talked to niggas about education?
Never.
That's my whole fucking point. That's my whole fucking point right there. Like, I get killed for like, yo, we should vote. We get on a local level and pay attention to shit what's going on around here. And they're just like, no, fuck you, fuck Trump. And it's like, I don't like that nigga either. I didn't vote for Trump. I'm just saying, don't focus on that nigga when we got shit to do here. Y'all gave Big Gretchen the buffs before y'all even really knew what her policy was on any of the shit I just mentioned. Y'all gave Big Gretchen the buffs the second that she said something negative to Trump. It's like, nah, we gotta get her situated. We gotta have her really out here representing, because she said, nah, we not gonna open back up. And then we open back up, and now shit getting shut down again. Are we taking her buffs back or no? How does one lose their buffs? Is this a moment where they would lose their buffs?
How does one lose their buffs?
Like, is this a point where as a culture we gotta snatch them shits back?
Holy shit. How does one lose their buffs? That is a crazy
we learned a weird ass way. We learned a weird ass way that people can earn buffs just by saying to Trump, fuck off. Like, never mind her policy. Niggas still don't even know her policy. And as quiet as kept, niggas still don't even really know much about her to begin with. Like, she won, but she wasn't the hood pick. She was not the pick from the hood. Like, she was not who my sisters voted for, who I use as a measuring stick for like what real nigga shit is happening, because I don't know anything, because I'll just be in the house.
It's fucked up now though when I hear the word.
Let me not say that. Let me not say that, because people go get the wrong impression. Like, hold on, how do you know all this stuff? And then you say you don't pay attention. I pay attention to shit, but I don't pay attention to the shit that y'all be paying attention to.
Right.
I be paying attention to shit where I don't really need to even. I don't bother with battles I know we can't win. And I know we can't win the governor battle unless there's like a significant groundswell of like black youth in those sectors that I'm talking about, where it's like, all right, we got a candidate that we want, and this is what we going with, and this is who we riding with. We have never done that in my lifetime, or at least in my voter eligibility lifetime. So that was never a focus for me. Who became governor was never a focus for me. Because I just knew there was no chance in fuck of us winning with our candidate, whoever it is that we decided to pick. But I know Gretchen Whitmer was not who niggas were voting for.
I know.
Like, it's cool that she got a vice governor, goddamn, what is his name? I don't know. Forgive me, y'all. It's like almost 2 a.m. while we're recording this. My memory is ass under normal circumstances, but like my brain's under duress at this point. So if I don't remember shit right now, forgive me. But she picked a nigga as a running mate, and they got in there, and then they gave her the buffs, and now shit is fucked up again. So the question is, do we take the buffs back?
Yes.
Does G-Back have to make a remake?
By the way, that's the name of this episode. The name of this episode is How Does One Lose Their Buffs, by the way.
That's too long. Like, I've been keeping the theme. It's like something pithy and shit. Because shitpost boys.
Buffs and shit, then.
Snatching buffs and shit. Yeah, snatching buffs and shit. Yeah, nigga, it's 2002 again, niggas. Those were troubling times. I was but a child when I knew those were troubling times.
Jesus.
Oh, shit. Let me relax. I'm going to piss somebody off by accident. I'm definitely not thinking about who would be offended by what I'm saying right now. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
what was
man.
Trying to get in from the get-go? What were we trying to do here? Oh, yeah, July 4th. I don't know if niggas are celebrating July 4th or not, but y'all gonna lie to me and say that y'all didn't. But I hear nothing but fireworks going on outside. What's the truth? Yeah. Am I supposed to believe my lying-ass ears and eyes or your motherfucking tweets? I saw you niggas at the liquor stores. Parking lot was mad full. Niggas in there with masks on, like, nah, we ain't celebrating. I'm just getting a little drink.
Lying ass. Get your lying ass.
Niggas.
Nigga, listen, if you want to celebrate some shit.
Niggas was dressed nice as shit. Niggas ain't dressed that nice in 4 months.
Listen, man, if you want to celebrate some shit. Listen, fam, if you want to celebrate some shit, celebrate some shit. I grew up my whole life.
Go ahead.
I grew up my whole life, like, on the American shit, celebrating holidays and shit. One day I got older and I don't fucking know when, but I just was like, holiday. Holy day. What the fuck is so holy about these days? And why is this one particular day set aside to observe some shit that I observe all fucking year? And why do we go about it this way? Why is this the tradition? Why are these the traditions? Like, these practices. Why?
Which ones?
I just got older and
go in depth if you want to ask those questions, nigga.
Look, the short answer of it is consumerism. We've been on this shit.
Not even necessarily consumerism. Consumerism is something that came later. If we're talking about like the inception of like why we celebrate the Declaration of Independence, like nigga, because the Declaration of Independence.
Okay, fair. I get that. No, I get that. I get that. And then yes, you're right. Consumerism came later. Yes.
Hold up. Before niggas kill me, I've never really been one to celebrate July 4th. I never really been one to care about the signing of documents and shit as like a time to celebrate. Like I get it. I get like why it's a significant historical date because it is the birth of this nation that niggas built. And I feel like we should take a little bit more pride in that part. Like we often have these conversations from a point of we didn't even want to be here, but it's like we also built all this shit.
But we built this motherfucker.
All this shit is ours, nigga.
Right. That's just like
we're the first immigrants in this bitch. All of this shit is ours. If anybody was to own this place, or if anybody was to lay claim to what quote unquote American structures and places of historical American significance, who they belong to, it's niggas. The land obviously belongs to no one to an extent, and that's a weird conversation we got to have another time because
no, that's a conversation we got to have with a Native American. That's
First of all, don't call them Native Americans. They're indigenous people.
Okay, then indigenous people.
Second of all, indigenous people, like every other kind of American, have a whole myriad of particular ways to feel about all of this shit. Now, there are definitely 1,000% some indigenous peoples who will tell you this is their land, this is a conquered land that they had first, etc., etc. But there are historians amongst those indigenous peoples that will tell you at what point those lands that are theirs that they hunt on and live on at some point were somebody else's that they also came and ran those niggas out. Yeah.
What?
Bro, look. A lot of these conversations are had from the lens of who was here before the Pilgrims got here. But we never really talk about what indigenous tribe genocided another indigenous tribe and took their shit. Because that shit happened. So that's why I say nobody's land. Because we don't know who this motherfucker belonged to. We don't know what first humans were here. We don't even know if it was humans here first. Humans could have genocided the fucking fuck, what do they call them? This is why we shouldn't be podcasting at 2 a.m. I don't remember shit. Jesus fucking Christ. Fuck, what are they called? What is the actual name? Well, basically, fuck it. Basically, yeah. You could say that possibly, or you could make a case for there being cave people here before humans came here. So is it technically their shit before it's any human shit?
Okay, now we've gone down the fucking rabbit hole.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it gets complicated if you really, really want to go like as far back as humanly possible. Because if we're talking about nomads don't lay claim to any land. So if you killed the nomads who were here for a little bit because you're from a rival tribe of nomads, y'all were fighting over land that doesn't belong to anybody. And despite the fact that you may have lived here longer than anybody that we can quote on record, you may still have stolen this land from another group of people. and then these niggas came with technology and then stole it from you.
Okay, hold on. Let me help us climb our asses up out this fucking rabbit hole because I don't like this shit. Going back to that whole thing of perception. As I've stated before, here, I have a very fucked up view on voting power, at least on a federal level. So when it came time to vote Hillary versus Trump, my mom, me, and my brother, we all went and voted. My mom was really emphatic about.
Hold on. That's the right word. Neanderthals, not cave people. Neanderthals. We have absolutely no idea if there were Neanderthals who were the first human-like beings on this land who got genocided by a bunch of Homo sapiens. And there's a big difference between their mental capacities as well as their aggression. So we're two totally different beasts by some sort of biological technical terms that I'm not 1,000% familiar with off the top of my head at 1:30 a.m. But I digress. Go ahead and do your thing. What you were saying. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so my mom was really emphatic about us voting 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I wasn't. And I was just in my head trying to justify being there. And I just was like, okay, I don't have to vote, but I'm going to vote. Only as a show of respect to people who believed in voting power. They fought and they died so that I could even exercise an option. Because once upon a time, this wouldn't have even been an option for me. So I'm gonna do this. And that's what put my mind at ease. Now I don't have to worry about that shit because I'm thousands of miles away from the bullshit.
You still gotta worry about that shit, nigga. You gotta come back eventually.
Oh yeah, eventually, but not this year. Not this year.
You sleep in that motherfucker.
Shit, folks sleep. I don't need it. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, is that the end of that topic? I know we're running long and shit. We ain't got to no lighthearted shit really.
You got a 5-minute warning here. I don't know. Like, my day was good. I didn't celebrate or anything like that. Like, it's my cousin's birthday and shit.
Okay. So it's officially July 5th, right?
It's July 5th now, yeah.
Yeah, it's my mother's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, mama.
Mm-hmm.
Lighthearted shit. I'm not good with that.
Okay, well, last time you mentioned... Perfect. That was perfect. Okay. No, last time you mentioned Red Dead Redemption 2 and you finally got it.
I have not played it since.
Well, tell me about what you got into, because last night I got back into Red Dead because they're doing triple rewards on all showdown match types, and I've been getting my ass handed to me, all in the sake of saying I will get more money, more gold, and more experience if I just play. And it's sort of kind of pissing me off. So when you did get into Red Dead, whenever that was, once upon a time, what did you experience? What did you like? What was your takeaways from it and shit like that? I know you said last time that there was a vast amount of shit for you to do. Tell me more.
To be clear, I didn't get super deep into Red Dead. I played the first part of the like I
Story?
got past the intro of the campaign and everything like that. Give me one
Yeah,
second.
you got.
All right, so yeah, like I got through the first part of the prologue.
Right.
Like I'm in
You
the
got.
open world now,
Yeah.
so I
So
made
you're
it
in
to
chapter
like the
2.
camp. Yeah. But like, nah, it looks fucking amazing. The sound is fucking amazing. The gunplay feels incredible. The world feels like it's living and breathing, like in a real fucking way because of the survival elements and because of, some of the elements they wanted to ground some of the realism on, in terms of like the settlements and how they function. And like I feel like they took a lot of cues from like Mass Effect with this because Mass Effect was big on that effect where when you went to your ship, everybody had their own little shit going on. You got to know certain shit about them from how you interacted with them outside of combat. Got to learn about their history, what they care about, what they fear, what they hate, things that are unsolved, etc., etc. I really like that in games
Right.
because it makes it feel like, because especially with this being something that heavily borrows elements from role playing games, that lived in feel like you need that immersion for these sorts of story based games.
Understood.
And I really like how they implemented that this time. I really like how they implemented or tried to implement that better, starting with GTA 5. I felt like there
Right.
were some things they can improve on, obviously, but
Right.
like in Red Dead, they definitely improved upon that experience. So,
Right.
you know, I was definitely rocking with that. I'm gonna definitely get back into it. It's just a matter of I found myself,
Timing.
yeah, I found myself in positions where it's like, okay, a game like that, I need like 2 or 3 hours to really sit down and do some damage to as far as like progression. That's not a
That's
game
why.
I feel like I could play just like, okay, I'm going to hop on for like 15, 30 minutes and that's going to be it.
Hell no. That's shit. That's exactly the reason why I haven't finished Persona 5. Great fucking game.
Man,
Highly detailed, I
fucking
can
Royal is
tell.
out now, nigga.
Yeah, I know.
Might as
I
well
know,
start,
and I don't
might as
see
well start
and
over.
I don't see myself buying Royal simply because when and where the fuck am I gonna get the time to actually carve through that fucking game?
I
As
mean, you're
badly
going to
as
be
I do
playing
want to say I
Apex.
beat nigga,
Ah!
that's
Ah!
something
You
different.
be playing
I
Apex,
can
though.
I can
You
play
was
one
in
or
La
two games
Marina
of
all
fucking it.
summer, though.
No. Those are two completely different fucking games. That's like you comparing Apex to Red Dead. These are two
I'm not
completely
comparing
different
them. I'm
games
just
that
saying as
require.
as time as I'm just saying as far as the time you have to commit to sitting down and getting
Exactly.
a match. I'm saying the time it takes to get into
Mm-hmm.
about 3 or 4 matches of Apex is time that you could
Mm-hmm.
save instead to be playing fucking Royal. That's just how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could be completely wrong and full of shit, but that's just how I feel.
Mm-hmm. No, I need a good solid 2-3 hours with Royal to feel like that was a good session. And on average, I don't have 2 or 3 straight hours a game, even on a weekend.
I'm hip.
uh,
You got shit to do. Oddly enough, Persona 4 came out on PC while you was asleep. Persona 4
okay,
Golden.
okay.
Um, I don't know. I feel like
That's the
anybody
fighting
who's
game, right?
listening, no, that's the actual Persona 4
Arena,
game. No, nigga, that's
right?
the actual
Arena
Persona.
is the fighting game,
Correct.
right? Arena is the fighting game.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, nah. Just anybody who is listening, I hope that, if you have a PC, you definitely play that. If you've never played a Persona game, Persona 4 was like, Persona 4 was to me for like JRPGs what Fooly Cooley was for anime for me, where it was like I didn't know that there was shit this good in this genre that I kind of played second fiddle for a while. Like outside of Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Final Fantasy IV, and a couple other titles where it was like, okay, I really like these games. It was Persona 4 that made me go like, okay, nah, 80 hours, 80 hours is what I'm willing to commit to this game. I'm not willing to commit 80 hours to a whole lot of shit. There's only a couple of games that come to mind. That's like Dragon Age Origins, which is another like just amazing fucking classic game that is just it's so fucking good. I honestly hope that they do a re-release, like a complete remaster of it. Oh man, it's such a fucking good game. And Persona 4 is up there in that conversation too, as well as Mass Effect 2, Persona 5, obviously. It's just a lot, and I've only played a little bit of Red Dead, and I already feel like Red Dead should be in that conversation as far as like genre defining, hugely ambitious and well executed, like Witcher 3 type shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like for me, like the Persona series is amazing. The Megaton series is also amazing, but Megaton is so much harder to get into because there's such a sense of isolation it has compared to the Persona series. The Persona series is very much like the simulation parts where it's like, okay, you're being this person and you're interacting with these people, and there's this world that exists outside of combat that is like predicated on the relationships with people. Megaton has that to an extent, but it's like, it's not like, okay, these are the homies. It's like, nah, that nigga is the reincarnation of the devil. That nigga is Satan, but that nigga is Lucifer. And these are two totally different fucking people who want totally different shit. But both of those niggas know you by name. Like, and there is a God in this universe, and that's an angry nigga too. Like Megaton is some wild fucking shit, like some really fucking wild shit. It's an acquired taste, definitely. If you're like really religious or really sensitive to religious themes, do not play Megaton. Persona is a little bit more palatable because like the shadows or the personas, whatever you want to call them, are they're the appearance of deities. But in Megaton, no, these are the actual dead ass deities. Like Saint Michael is Saint Michael. It'll fuck you up. Okay. Like he'll fuck you up. Like you get your ass beat by a nigga guarding the motherfucking gates of heaven. Like that's what Megaton is. You came to beat God ass, and you get your ass beat by a bunch of angels. Megaton is a wild fucking game. Megaton is Satan is pissed at you, and Lucifer is like, yo, we about to get this nigga Satan because I don't like the way you looked at me. Like that's dead ass with Satan. That's dead ass what Megaton is like.
Wow.
Like I'm simplifying and adding like some humor to it, but like no, like all of these deities are entities that exist in this universe that are exactly what they say they are, and they're here to wipe out humanity for their own personal reasons.
Understood.
Wow, see, it got dark even when we were talking about positive shit that I enjoy. Now, see, Devilman Crybaby on Netflix is definitely.
Oh, Jesus.
Attack on Titan.
Jeez.
Erased. Oh my God. Please, you gotta watch Erased at some point. You just have to. I just need you to suffer as much as I have suffered.
Why you want me to suffer,
bro? Because that's natural. That's a natural human thing, dog. It's natural. As much as we try to downplay our nature, it is 1000% a natural thing to want people to suffer as much as you have suffered. Explain Twitter if I'm wrong. Exactly, Nick. Exactly. Exactly. You can't say shit. Oh man, I'm joking, but I'm not. I'm making it humorous, but I'm dead ass.
Fam, that's the reason why I'm not on Twitter. Like, well, and it just doesn't seem to be a powerful promotion tool, at least for entertainment purposes.
It's a
social media.
It's a powerful promotion tool, but you have to play the game.
Right. Well, like
there's
I said,
a very specific game that works over there. Just like there's a very specific game that works on Instagram, which is why we have the rise of some shit I'm not gonna say because I want it to play out first, and then I want somebody else to coin the term, and then I'm gonna be like, "See, I told you," but that was what I was making a reference to on July 5th, 2020. Because I'm not gonna die over this shit, bro. You see what happens to every nigga who starts to talk about things that people don't want to talk about? They kill that nigga.
Understood.
They find something and it's like, nope. See, told you that nigga was crooked. Nobody would ever say anything negative about X because X is the most wonderful thing in the world.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, so we're gonna have that conversation after this.
We can have that offline. I'm not about to talk about it on the podcast, but I know once it comes to the light,
quickly moving along.
Once it comes to the light, I'll be back. And I'll be gloating about it. But dead ass, I will be. And that just tends to be how everything occurs. Like I'm usually one of the first people to jump out the window with a dumbass idea, or one of the first people to jump out the window with something that would probably not be ideal. And I'm tired of doing that shit, so I'm gonna let everybody else do it, and then I'm gonna just like tackle on at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Tackle on at the end. I'm fucking tired, bro. Good shit, important shit. We're just under. We can take this to like 15 minutes after. I feel like that's fair. Give people a little bit more. I wanna put some actual good shit in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just humor. Let's see. It's hard as fuck to come up with good shit in 2020.
But what's better than humor though?
Yeah, but I also want to give them some gems. Like I had gems. I wasn't really expecting us to necessarily record tonight. I was expecting everybody else to like chicken out, which almost everybody else did, which is why it's just us again. But niggas are celebrating the white man's holiday.
Yeah. Yeah. No. All right. Let's see. Let's just look.
Man, that's not good though. That's negative, technically. I'll table that for later.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I know some good music came out, but I haven't heard any of it yet. I don't like to talk about rap because both of us are rappers. I don't rap currently, but I rapped at one point, so I should probably shut the fuck up. You should shut the fuck up because you are currently rapping. Like, unless it's like, okay, I really enjoyed this album, don't say shit else. Just leave it at that.
I wouldn't.
If you didn't like it, just don't say shit.
When have you ever known me to like publicly shit on something though?
Define publicly, because we was in public and you shitting on stuff.
No, we wasn't.
Yes, we was.
Last time I put
you was in La Marina also.
What? Oh God!
I never wanted to know what La Marina was.
No, hold up. Wait a second.
Made it sound like it was the most shameful act on the face of the planet.
No, I said that I kind of semi.
You never left. I was there. You was there all summer. You ain't never. That's fucked up. Oh man, that's just as bad as Pip. Will Pip C say? Trash like the fuck for $40 in the club.
Oh God, dear God.
Oh, bro, when was $40 ever a significant enough amount of money to be fucking? In Pip C's lifetime, when was $40 ever significantly enough money for you to be giving it up in the club? Not outside the club, in the club. Not in the parking lot. $40. $40, dog. 40.
Dear God.
$40. That's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to run down a list of great fucking albums that have come out this year.
Nope, you dancing with dangerous territory. I'm gonna pull you back. I said one album. You're like, well, here's a list, so I can passively exclude a bunch of shit.
Oh God. Okay. Okay, well, if I have to point out one fucking significantly great album that came out this year, I'm going to say Music to Be Murdered By.
I'll give you that. That's up there for me. That's 1,000% up there for me. That's up there for me. The Allegory is up there for me, obviously. I think Cole's going to drop an amazing album this year. I think.
Do you think Cole and Kendrick will drop this year?
I hope they would, but at the same time, Kendrick just had a kid, and I think that Kendrick is the type of rapper to take an extended hiatus away from music and then come back. I mean, J. Cole kind of did the same thing. I feel like every newer significant rapper is taking a significant amount of time off at some point in their career. You can make an argument that Damn was like that hiatus after To Pimp a Butterfly, but at the same time, at this album, trying to get there, nigga. Goddamn. You could say that, but I don't think that was like literally like supposed to be his. Okay, I'm gonna actually give it some time to breathe and actually come back at my own pace, in my own way, the way I want it to happen. Because as we know, Kendrick goes above and beyond with everything. And if he wanted to come back this year, all that shit got derailed by all this corona shit. So I feel like if ever there was going to be a time where it's like we're going to get one more year and then the Kendrick album, it's now. I do believe J. Cole is dropping this year. I think Drake might drop another album this year. Because the other project was leaks, not exactly an album. So whatever you want to call that, yeah, compilation. All right, so let's get off rap before we end up in a bad place. Run the Jewels 4 is up there, and that's it. That's as far as I'm willing to go.
Okay.
Obviously, Run the Jewels is up there. That was highly anticipated.
Yes.
And definitely delivered. And I've been loving their shit ever since rap music, which is basically Run the Jewels 0. So, Run the Jewels prequel, Yankee and the Brave prequel.
Indeed.
Positive shit. I think that we might kind of be turning the corner with might finally kind of be turning the corner with the whole police reform shit, because I don't think that there's anybody who's going to be able to run in the fall who's not going to have some sort of platform that includes police reform. I'm sure there are people who won't, and I'm sure there are people who will have it in their policy/platform that have no chance of delivering, but it's a step. And as much as people hate to say it's not enough, and I know it's not enough, it's still significant, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the fact that a lot of people, like in a number of like skeptic communities and other commentary communities online, have kind of been able to see where their loyalties really lie on a lot of this shit, because the vast majority of people who have kind of been killed over the years for like, oh, you're a gateway drug to right-wing extremism because you're a centrist. And it's like, come on, dog. These exclusionary tactics that people use sometimes put us in an awkward position where it's like, if you just shut the fuck up and let this nigga talk, we would have another ally on this side, honestly. But because they're not saying exactly what you want them to say when you want them to say it, you're trying to now cast them off to the enemy who already has more numbers than we could possibly even, and let me not say the enemy, the opposition. The opposition already, because the enemy denotes like a bunch of other shit that I don't want to go into right now. But like, we have to stop calling everybody our fucking enemy. They're not our fucking enemy. They have different opinions from us. Some people are the enemy. Don't get it fucked up. Some people are actually hateful people. Other people are not fucking hateful. You just don't like what the fuck they have to say.
Yeah.
You don't like their tone. You don't like their delivery. You don't like, but they're not the enemy. And you should shut the fuck up. Because the actual enemy doesn't need any more numbers. But neither does the opposition. The opposition doesn't need more examples of motherfuckers who doing fuck shit to be like, hey, yo, see, told you. Like, niggas do it to themselves sometimes because they don't know how to shut the fuck up. And I feel like we said this on the podcast at some point, but at some point you need to tell your homie, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I believe that was episode 0.
Shut the fuck up. Sometimes you just need to go and hug your neighbor and whisper gently in their ear. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut. I know how you feel. I know how you feel. Shut the fuck up, though. We're trying to win. Please, shut the fuck up. And that's it. Sometimes, not all the time. But you know which one of your homies, a couple of your homies, do need to. Because every single time that we have petty ass infighting, we fracture the ability of our overall strength. Like, you reduce your strength every single time that you try to ostracize somebody from the community. You need to be handling that shit on a non-public platform, one-to-one, if it's a personal thing. Some people just don't like the way that some people are all aboard for what it is you're doing, but they don't like the way you're doing it. And some of those people are wise enough to be like, I can comment on it. I can comment on what I don't like, but I don't have to attack you. But some people are dead set on just trying to bait each other into like bitch fights. I don't like that shit. I genuinely don't like that shit. And that's not a sex thing. That's a actions thing. It's a bitch ass fight if you're having these passive aggressive baitings that are going on all the time, where it's like, I don't know if they're talking about me, or are they talking about me? Are they talking about me? Are they talking about you? Who are they talking about? I'm about to say some shit. Like, when those sorts of situations and those sorts of things happen, it's in your best interest and everybody's best interest to pull that shit back and make sure that shit is at least not happening in public. Because ugly shit gets said and the egos get bruised and then everything falls apart.
Right.
And we don't need that shit right now. More than ever, we need unity. And I try to make that kind of the ending note of every single podcast. Because while we're called the Shitpost Boys, we tend to talk about very important topics. Probably in sarcastic ways. Probably in ways that piss you off. Probably in ways that you don't like one bit. But guess what? You can suck. I'm tired. Forgive me. I'm very... I'm gonna relax. I really need to chill sometimes.
I was just
But that's all. Like, this is the only time I really talk about like how I feel about
calm
something.
down,
The majority of the day is just me. The majority of the day is just me telling my girl like, I don't want to talk about that. And it's not like I don't want to talk about it. It's just that I don't want to talk about it and wind up yelling. And it's not like I'm yelling at her. I'm a person who yells about shit that pisses me off. I don't yell at people, but I definitely yell in rooms and outside and in my car.
And it's just the way you feel. It's got nothing to do with who you're talking to. I get that.
It's not because like rap was my outlet because I'm not rapping. I'm doing podcasting and writing, and because I'm doing podcasting and writing, all of that anger and vitriol that normally comes out in rap form is now coming off in spoken form. So a lot of people take it the wrong way. Like, it's important to note, the majority of shit I'm saying is not fucking serious. Or at least the way I'm saying it is not fucking serious. But if it's just conversation like that, people can't tell. Like, most people can't tell that, like, right now, I'm being sarcastic. Unless you know me, you wouldn't know. Sometimes you might think this is just me in some way, shape, or form emphasizing what I'm saying, but no. Generally, in this tone, when I take this tone, I'm saying something sarcastic. But now I'm fucking up because I'm saying shit that's serious in a sarcastic tone. And the list goes on. And the list of confusion goes on.
With that being said, allow me to just throw my little positivity out there on some on some very trivial shit. Just shout out to Shorty in the gym. Getting her workout on. Just shout out to her. Fuck. Got nothing else to say in regards to that.
Are you harassing somebody?
Nope. And see, I knew you was gonna take it there.
But I'm just telling you where they're gonna take it. I don't give a fuck where it's going.
Okay. To repeat the words of my brother Kilo, they can suck a fat. You know what? I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna calm down. Calm down.
Kanye West for president in 2020. Nigga said you were for president in 2020. I'm like, oh, what can get worse? What can get worse? Fucking Kanye. Elon Musk was like, I got you. You got my support. I'm like, in a perfect world, in a year that wasn't 2020, this would be not only the funniest shit, this would also be the most like viable funny shit. In a perfect world, like if this was 2016 and if this was 2016 and it was Kanye running and Elon Musk was endorsing him, it would be like one of those moments where like, yeah, that's funny as shit to think about, but also completely positive that it could work. But in 2020, not only is there no chance of that shit working, it's still hilarious. But it is completely... If ever there was a time to revive Read the Room... If ever there was a moment to revive dead-ass, trounced over terms like Read the Room, now would be the time to revive it and tell Kanye to read the room. Now was not the time for the shenanigans, my nigga.
Exactly. Yay, we got some real shit going on over here. Could you just please pay attention? And okay, I'm gonna give Kanye the hug and the whisper. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I know. You got some shit going on. You in the room with Dr. Dre. Y'all apparently got like some collab shit going. And but yay. Shh. Listen. Shut the fuck up. All right. He has the message, ladies and gentlemen.
In a perfect world, like, just think about some wild shit. Like if Kanye, shortly after the whole Bush doesn't care about black people thing, actually decided to run for like governor of Illinois, I 1000% think that shit would have worked.
Of course.
That shit would have worked with no knowledge of his policies, no knowledge of his platform. That shit
of course.
Worked. And that's a wild thing.
Of course.
It's a wild thing that we've come so far, like, to the other end of that, where it's like, okay, Kanye is like dead ass running for president, and everybody's just collectively like, is he taking his meds? Is he taking his meds? Are we gonna have another repeat of all the fuck shit that happened in 2018? I don't know, man. Eventually, we got to actually start like reviewing shit posts in this podcast, because that was the original intention. Like the shit post thread and the shit post boys Discord is full of actual shit posts, and that's what this podcast was supposed to be about. Just kind of going through and debunking the fuck shit people say, as well as laughing at all the goofy shit people say. And I really want to get to that energy with like the launch of all of this. And I still really think that I'm going to kind of have all these episodes as just like additional material, but not necessarily be in the main line of what it is that we're delivering to people.
If you don't mind my saying, I have, depending on how often we do this, or my inclusion is in this, and depending on if and when I get my setup going, I've considered the idea of throwing clips of this shit at the end of tracks on a mixtape. You can edit this part out if if I've said too much.
No, fuck it. I mean, it don't really matter at this point. But yeah, no, I'm fine with that. However you want to do it, dog. Anything that you record, use however you want. Anything of mine that is recorded, use however you want. You got 100% permission to do so. I'm not gonna sue you unless you hit a big fucking number on one of these tracks, and then I'm going on royalties.
I told you the last time we linked. If I'm balling, nigga, you balling.
A lot of niggas say that, but none of you niggas are balling. So wait till you're balling and see if you feel the same way.
Jeez.
Niggas love to hit me with, nah, bro, if I get rich, we are rich. All right. All right.
I mean, Uncle Sam might be rich.
So y'all say that now. So Ireland look at Rihanna come in the picture and want the whole motherfucking pot. Now I'm over here looking goofy.
Oh, fuck off. She don't get nothing. Oh, okay. Let me stop. I'm sorry. Let me stop. Let me stop. No, because I was about to go. I was about to get real disrespectful.
That's why I was about to reel you back in. It's important to keep your friends in check, or whatever.
Yes, I know.
Or whatever the fucking terminology you use.
I try to keep myself in check, fam. I try to be self-accountable, self-aware.
Here's the thing. Let's say, and just mathematically speaking, if all of my homies got rich, I know for a fact at least half of y'all will get hit with some pum that's so life altering that you're gonna completely disappear. The math shows that at least half you niggas are going to completely disappear as soon as y'all get hit with some shit that makes you completely rethink life. Like, mathematically, at least half of y'all have to run into some Badu box. And mathematically, at least half of you are going to. If every one of you got rich, at least half of you are going to run into some Badu box. And I will never see you niggas again.
It's not me. No, I've already come to the conclusion that my financial woes are all government related, and I don't see myself making much more than what the fuck is going to take me to pay back these motherfuckers.
First and foremost, student loans are getting canceled, so you ain't got to worry about all that. Other than that, bankruptcy, boom, you're out of there. Just make sure you do all that shit before you get a big bag.
let's step back just a second. Student loans are getting canceled. What the fuck you mean?
They're not
student
getting
loans are
canceled right
canceled?
now, but they almost guarantee you they're going to cancel student loans, like within the next decade.
How?
Can you wait, nigga?
Okay,
I
sorry.
can almost guarantee you that within the next 10 years, we're going to see some sort of huge fucking student debt reform laws come into play. Because in all honesty, we're playing a game from hyperinflated prices for education that all but means nothing in today's rapidly changing era. The biggest jobs, the most important jobs of like that regular people have, like people outside of like doctors and lawyers have, none of them bitches require a degree at all. Certifications, but not a degree. So our degrees are effectively worthless. So this is going to be the kind of the same situation. Oh, keep in mind, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. So if anybody out there has any counter argument to it, you're right. I'm wrong. Not even any point in telling me. But I'm still going to say what I got to say. Well, these educations that we paid for with this loan shit is kind of the same thing as if we paid like a big ass, if we got a big ass loan out for a house that's now worthless.
A fucking shack.
Shit, no, it could be a nice house. It just probably won't be a quarter or half as much as the loans we took out for it as far as the value. So effectively the loans.
Oh, because 10 years.
The loans of
because 10 years later.
Go ahead.
Oh, because 10 years later, everybody vacated the fucking block.
Something like that. But yeah, no, I just feel like student debt is underwater because there's no chance in fuck of somebody like me, unless I like take this podcast to the next fucking level. There's no way in fuck somebody like me who went to school to learn how to effectively communicate, and understand and research things in my environment, can use that for shit. Nigga, the whole internet exists now for that exact reason. When I went to school, like Wikipedia was not a viable source, and now Wikipedia is pretty much the only source on the planet. What the fuck do they need me for now? Like, unless I'm an expert in some shit where it's just like all of this shit is classified, there's absolutely nothing I can do with the education I have unless I go back to school and spend even more money getting a degree that has nothing to do with what I got, but enough to do with what I got for me to actually have the prerequisites to take that class in the first place. So I say that to say, most people's student loans and or educations that they took out loans for, that loan is completely underwater in terms of the value that the education is brought to you.
Fair.
So I feel like they got to cancel that shit. For a lot of people.
They should. They should.
I feel like doctors shouldn't be paying back student loans. I feel like lawyers shouldn't be paying back all the student loans. I feel like people who are in very essential roles, period, should not be paying back student loans. But I also feel like there should be a student loan bailout for everybody who went through both of these fucking recessions. Where we have this corona recession right now, and we definitely had the recession back in 2008, where it was like, okay, I graduated in 2009. My family's financial situation is fucked over. I got to take out more loans on myself just to support myself while I'm in school to do shit. And like, you know, we just got a shitty fucking hand. And I feel like that sure should be canceled, honestly. Because the only reason that education at that point had cost that much is because they were just taking all the money every single year, and they were just giving all the money every single year, and they were just making bigger and bigger projects of the various schools where it's like, okay, well, we need a new building for this and a new building for that. We need a new this and we need a new that. And we're just going to keep running the budget up because they're just going to keep giving us all the money for it anyway. So why the fuck not? At the same time, tuition's going up every fucking year. The quality of education, however, is not improving at the same rate. And the jobs offered as a consequence of that education are not necessarily paying, let alone going to exist by the time you graduate. That don't sound like a scam to you?
It does.
Because journalism was dying while I was in school and dead as a fucking doorknob by the time I got out. Like, unless you got one of these cushy ass positions at like HuffPost, and actually one of the homies I grew up with is big over at HuffPost. But outside of him, I don't know too many other people who went into journalism or writing that are in stable jobs that they could retire from.
Yeah.
So, I mean, cancel that shit. We all made a mistake as a nation. So cancel that shit.
Yeah. No, you're not alone in that. I've carried those thoughts myself. Like you, as you admitted, I don't know shit. If I'm wrong, I'm fucking wrong. But as it stands right now, my thought process is you don't have to go to university unless you intend on doing some shit that really requires you to have a fucking degree. That could be a doctor, lawyer, maybe an engineer. Outside of those, you don't need a degree to do shit else. Not that I can think of, not off the top of my head. No, so yeah. Figure out what you want to do in life, develop the skill to do it, and figure out how you can get involved in doing it. Whether that's under somebody else's establishment or you establish your own shit to do that.
I get it. Well, either way, I feel like it's a good place to end this shit. We've gone an hour and 40 basically.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. An hour and 38 minutes. So Shitpost Boys Podcast. I'm Kilo. Nine Deuce. I just want everybody out there to just take your time. I know it's fun and it's exciting to get like the rush from people affirming your hard stances on whatever it is you want to call July 4th now, or however it is we're going to acknowledge like America as a whole now. But I feel like as a whole, black people should take more ownership of the American culture, because I mean we don't look at it that way, but we do. When you go on the internet and say a black person invented everything in this bitch, live that way. Like, really live that shit. You feel that shit. There's facts to prove that shit. So really live that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like Independence Day, yes, 1776, there were slaves in America. But there was also free niggas in America in 1776. And unless you know your history, you don't know where your lineage came from in terms of that. And a lot of people came over like years and years and years later as free people who were never fucking slaves in America.
Mm-hmm.
And, growing up, I didn't know there was a significant difference between a black person who spoke a certain way and a black person who spoke the way I fucking speak. I didn't know the difference. But I'm saying all that to say, like, I really want this awakening, this new energy behind people to also be an energy behind not looking at us as like a downtrodden people. I want us to look at us like we're people who are making legitimate demands and asking for a legitimate, taking steps towards making a significant change in how shit operates around this motherfucker, because we built this bitch. And we're not going nowhere. So fix this shit. Elect people. Exactly. Speak with your dollars. Speak with your votes. Elect people that have our best interest at heart. And really go hard for that shit. And really take some ownership for that shit. Like this year, yeah, fuck all this shit. But next year, I want it to be a totally different energy around all of this shit. I really want...
Know yourself, know your history.
Right. I want everybody to really take this year to reflect. Take this year to really give some thought to how all of this shit goes, and really give some thought about some of the mistakes that have been made along the way and how it is that we can correct those. But more than anything, I just want the attitude around black people in America to not be that, oh, we're prisoners of America. We built the motherfucking prison. We built the key. We designed the keys and the locks. Under somebody else's supervision, yeah. Under somebody else's order, yeah. But all of that shit is dead. We could turn this bitch into whatever the fuck we feel like now. And I really want us to take ownership of that kind of attitude towards this shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We getting out of here. I'm about to play the music and do the outro.
All right.
Bonjour.